Connors, Degrassi, Unpopular Opinions. Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Degrassi Unpopular Opinion. This is kind of a hot take as well, but this is mostly an opinion of sorts. I did a post 17 days ago, and this is being taped on May 31st, 2022, for context. And I basically said that my opinion is Maya's depression storyline from Next Class was a mea culpa from the writers who didn't address Emma's issues as much in season 4. All right, so I said, hear me out. This is what I said. M's. We all know about the Maya storyline in Next Class that her depression issues from Cam's suicide came back to haunt her. And in season 3, she was going downhill and almost killed herself. And then spent season 4 recovering. However, was it possible that they threw this storyline together because they messed up Emma's depression/PTSD storyline after Rick Murray's saga? Here's why I say yes. Emma's character took a massive change after Rick nearly killed her. She wasn't as much of a crusader as she used to be, and she felt like a clingy friend/girlfriend who'd want to control the situation. The writers left in small hints that Emma's issues came from Rick Murray's thing. Even in season 6, with her anger towards Manny for moving on after JT stabbing, and the guilt she felt after JT died may have pushed her supposed PTSD forward, and that's why Emma acted weird. But yet it seemed after season 4, there's no narrative saying that possibly Emma's issues were due to Nero being shot, and that she never told people she still had repercussions to do with the situation, meaning that the writers didn't explain Emma may having her depression/PTSD, and her behavior might have been attributed to it. Also meaning that we assumed Emma was fine after season 4, but she wasn't. That's akin to Maya, which by season 14, I think she finally alleviated her guilt over not helping Cam by getting Miles through his issues and saved the day, and then the bus crash brought back those terrible feelings. So before I get to the comments, some context, of course. So the context is this. Now, Emma's issues were that in season 4, Emma was just off losing Manny and Liberty as friends because Emma was petty over Chris and Manny, Liberty getting together, which was strange because it seemed like Emma didn't really want Chris at all. But the fact of the matter is that Emma had no friend group, and when she heard about Paige's clique getting upset that Rick was coming back to the school, Emma decided to help Paige try to force Rick out of the school legally. With the Orange Ribbon campaign. But Emma did not know that her Orange Ribbon campaign was going to be the green light to go bully people. And she stopped it, got out of Paige's clique, and basically was left with only a group around her of Heather, Rick, Toby, and possibly Jimmy. So, of course, Emma gets talked to by Rick after he gets painted and feathered and kisses her. And Emma says, Rick, stop it. And Rick said, I thought you loved me. I felt pity for you. Get a clue. Because that's how Emma stopped Rick from being bullied outside the dot. Rick looks bad, and then, Rick tries to go after Paige, but Paige calms him down, and then, after being pressed on by Spinner and Jay, he decides to shoot Jimmy, and then conveniently finds Emma, Sean, and Toby, and decides to off Emma for spurning him. Sean tries to talk to Rick and all that, and I think Toby wanted to as well. But anyway, Rick has a gun pointed at Emma. And then Sean saves the day by accidentally shooting Rick dead. And, Emma has trauma and all that. She goes to Wasaga Beach with Sean so that Sean can confront his parents over a TV thing. And then finds out that, Sean wants to stay in Wasaga Beach due to the PTSD about killing Rick and all that. And probably his guilt about the fact that he's worried that the cops will go after him for shooting and killing Rick. Although, Rick was a school shooter at first. And I think that they would have destroyed Sean before he went to Wasaga Beach. But Emma's behavior in that episode was that she was clinging to Sean. She was thankful to Sean for saving her life. And she was upset when Sean stayed at Wasaga Beach and everyone went back to Toronto. So the fact of the matter with that is that it was just painful. But then, Rick was an asshole. And then, Emma was just assumed to be fine. A few episodes went on and she seemed to be okay. But then Secret came out and we learned that Emma isn't fine. She's falling behind in school. She's not having friends over and all that. She doesn't have a boyfriend. Well, Okay, that's fine. But she's just withdrawn. Spike and Snake talk about her and all that. Emma tries to assert herself, saying that she's fine, but she's not. She decides to go to the ravine with Jay, gets an STD, possibly, the gonorrhea. Everyone shuns her and all that. And, Emma admits that she hasn't been fine since Rick died. And in a sense, I think she's admitting that she should not have bullied Rick. Fair enough. But the simple fact is that, after season 4, like, Emma Spence isn't really the main focus after Secret in season 4. But by season 5, she's recovered. She's trying to find a boy she likes with Peter, but Peter wants to be with Manny, despite Manny trying to make sure that Peter was with Emma. And then, of course, Peter putting a video of Manny being topless all over the school and suffering only detention, but nothing else. Emma then takes Manny into her home after Manny's parents kick her out and seems to be in control of Manny, especially with Emma's eating disorder, in which she tries to get Manny to lose weight. I personally thought that Manny started this whole mess with the eating disorder by saying we should lose weight for a role and all that. But Emma took control of the situation, and that just made her the worst part of Emma. I'll talk about more about that in a future CDUO, but the fact of the matter is that Emma, when JT gets stabs from her house at a party that they should not have thrown in season 6, and with Lakers around, Emma probably felt guilty about JT dying and all that because it was kind of her fault. And when Manny moves back home after the JT stabbing, and Emma tries to tell Manny how she feels, but Manny seems like she doesn't have time for Emma. She's got a boyfriend, she's got a cheerleading competition, which Emma says is walking over JT's grave. Dancing on his grave, pardon. Emma leads a fuck Lakehurst thing, and all of a sudden, she's the bad guy in the situation. But Snake and Manny remind her about what she could be, a bad person. So basically, Emma said, no, I can't be that way anymore. But more on that later, as I said in the future duel. The fact of the matter is that Emma, after season 4, yeah, she had issues. She had a clingy face with her friendships and boyfriends. But the fact of the matter is, we don't know. And guess what? They never said anything about it, attributing it to Rick's problems. So basically, they didn't follow up on that as much as they did with Maya. But the writers knew that they needed to make things right in a sense and put Maya. Maya was in love with Cam, but Sig was jealous in season 12, and Cam had his issues being 10 hours away from home and then, being pressured by the hockey team to do well. He needed to do better. The fact of the problem is that Emma was just, bad. Well, and then you got Maya, who was trying to protect Cam, but of course, Sig was in Maya's head, in a sense. Sig manages to get Cam to kill himself, although it was probably going to happen as is. And, Cam killed himself by some sort of way that the writers didn't want us to know and glorify it. Either he hung himself, slashed himself with the skate, or even drank some kind of chemicals, because as somebody who worked in a garden center one summer a couple of years ago, and also a guy who's also has to deal with garden chemicals while working in the soil compound at Canadian Tire this year, I know about toxicity and all the poisons and all that stuff. So the simple fact is that, Maya for a few seasons 13 and 14, was trying to get over Cam's death and all that, but it seemed that she was making sure she was overprotective, especially with Miles in season 14, because Miles was, having issues with his dad, and Maya was trying to help the situation. And then Maya kept having nightmares that, Miles was going to jump off the balcony and do stuff that Cam did a couple of seasons prior. So she was trying to protect Miles from himself, and then Miles ghosted her on social media, and Maya basically said that, I can't have this happen again, because she's with Miles, but she doesn't want Miles to kill himself like Cam did, and then just breaks into his house. And then, Maya protects Miles from blaming a car crash that almost ruined Dallas's son. basically the police and Maya's mom had to tell her that it's fine to feel this way, but you can't let a boy control you, and you can't help someone who doesn't want help. And Maya tells Miles, "You need help yourself. You've got to get this help." And then after getting Miles to finally confront his dad in Firestarter, Miles said, "Check up on me every so often." And Maya says, "Nah, you're good," and walks away. Maya probably smiles because now she has the guilt about Cam's death has alleviated it. And, Maya can go back to the way she kind of is. But then, stupid bus crash at the end of season 2 of Next Class happened, and Maya soon turned into this person who was overprotective. And it's like, what the hell? But, Maya was going through all the bad signs, and she was into doxing and swatting and all that stuff, and then decides she needs to kill herself because she feels that the people around her are getting hurt because of her. Thankfully, though, Esme and Sig's love session on the roof saved Maya because they found Maya after Maya was trying to put on headphones in the bus and take some pills and fall asleep forever, and she realizes it's not working. She goes to the roof to try to jump off, but then the pills kick in because pills usually kick in. And thankfully, Esme and Sig saved Maya's life. She goes through season 4 recovering and learning that, she can't help it. Things happen for a reason. And I basically think that's why, we had the Maya situation is because with them saying mea culpa, we should have talked about Emma more. Things happened. Somebody said, "You taught me a new word in mea culpa." Okay. Girl Adrift said, "Never thought of it that way, but you could be right. I mean, you definitely see Emma change after the shooting, especially with Jay. But yeah, it was never concretely established, and then it was dropped." And then someone says, "Oh, okay, it makes sense. I thought it was poor writing with Emma, but they just dropped the ball on her character. She stopped being involved in the environment, which I thought was just something she grew out of, but it's a sign of depression or loss of interest." See, that's what I thought. So yeah, it just makes sense that they should have had, like, I know that Degrassi in season 5 and 6 had different characters to deal with and different storylines and all that, but they could have done us a favor by giving my Emma some closure over the Rick Murray situation, because I don't think she ever mentions about Rick Murray's situation after season 4 and all that, you know. And then in season 14, Maya tells about her struggles, and that's just the way it is. So yeah, it's a giant mea culpa from the writers, but they should not have let this problem get out in the first place. I think they should have followed up with Emma. And even with Emma's eating disorder and her thing in season 5 after Snake had to be kicked out because of his treats with Hatzalakos and Emma trying to get control of her life, it should have been brought up. It should have been brought up that they said that maybe it had visions of Rick Murray in it, and especially the JT stabbing. But I think Emma kept it to herself more so than anything else because she didn't want people to worry about her. I mean, it's noble in a sense, but it's also kind of stupid because they would have been sympathetic to her. That's kind of like Maya in season 14. If Maya had just said Cam is gun in her head to everybody, I think she would have got more sympathy instead of hatred. Think about it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm